people call it that all the time, so I feel like using that term will prevent confusion.
This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code GT2305 to get 5% off any order over $100. That's valhallahobby.com.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 108 of Getting Tabled with your host, Greg the Stop Sign.
Greg the Stop Sign. Oh, you guys need to listen
And
to
that
the
Bruce
song.
guy, too.
You guys need to listen to the song if you haven't already. Yes, we are here. We are back. We've also got the main man, the only reason you listen to us fools to begin with. It's Major Socks.
Hey, I'm actually in the military this time, and I've got socks instead of whatever else Bruce decides to put me in. So, yeah, it's great to be back with friends. And George is somewhere up there, and he's actually here this week.
Yes, I'm actually here. I was just going to say, you need to go get your... well, we had a dog get spayed Friday, so it's kind of chaos this weekend because we had two birthdays. I was going to say, though, you need to go legally get your name changed from Jason to Tom so that you can actually say, yes, I do tomfoolery stuff.
Oh,
Because
that's a desperate grasping of straws there. That's terrible. Yep. So we're back. I suppose the big question all of the listeners want to know, George, is did you win the dog prize that you had been entered in?
I did not actually enter anything. I was hosting and cooking. No, I was hosting and cooking. We had some of Casey's dog show friends over. However, for those who understand dog shows and points and stuff like that, Doozy the puppy got her championship title, so that was a big thing.
Nice.
I'm going to say nice, but yeah.
But yeah, it's for dog nerds like Casey, it's kind of a big thing. So it was a good weekend. It was fun. We played a lot of Cards Against Humanity.
Been a long time since I played that.
I laughed way too hard at a factual like correlation of question card and answer card. I'm a terrible human being for laughing at it.
That's kind of the point.
No, I mean, it's really terrible.
It brings out the worst in people in the best way. Cards Against Humanity is a great game. You just have to have the right audience for it. Because the answers that come out will be inappropriate. And it will be crass. And that is kind of the point. It's supposed to inspire that. So you have to have an audience that's going to be on board with it. Like if you have a group that aren't going to like dead baby jokes, for example, probably don't bring it out in that group.
Don't play that game.
Because somebody will make a joke that's really on the nose.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
So, before we get into the news, I just want to touch on one thing. For a lot of people in the tabletop gaming community, this weekend is about one thing and one thing only. And to a large extent, we don't really care about Leviathan. I mean, we do. I mean, we understand that it's very popular. But we've already covered it to death. The only thing that we would be talking about today would be the fact that there's certain countries in the world that are getting ripped off again. And it's the same conversation we've had last time. The value of the box set's amazing, but at this point it's kind of irrelevant. It's pretty much going to be sold out. It's sold out everywhere in Australia. It will be everywhere that you look at. It's been selling out insanely fast. So there's no point covering it.
I would still be griping about the Tyranids having hooves. So, I mean...
Anyways, we don't have Games Workshop this week, so we got a whole list of other things, though.
Yep.
Yeah, we got Mantic
always,
Games.
yes. Mantic Games with, I'm sorry, really, really pretty looking birds. So the Northern Alliance are getting some releases, which is good because we haven't really seen any Northern Alliance stuff since they came out, really. So these are the Frost Claw Raiders, which is dwarves riding giant ravens. I mean, it's dwarves riding giant ravens. Why would you not want this? I love these so much.
I like dwarves, but I don't know about these guys.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole like correlation of dwarves and Norse and Nordic theming, and then of course Odin and his crows, like it works. I feel like
they look a little bit more like eagles than they do ravens, but I don't know canonically what they're supposed to be. They look like ravens with the way they're painted. Doesn't actually.
I would almost say like maybe a different type of predatory type bird, like an actual predatory type bird instead of a scavenger, like which is what a crow is or a raven. They like. I would love to see actually a giant owl. I think that would look pretty freaking slick.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody do that. That would actually be a really cool mini.
Right?
Hey Louis, are you listening? Design a really cool mini.
I mean, what was it? Guardians of Cthulhu or whatever, the movie where it's like the owls and they have like their armor plating and stuff like that. I mean, come on, folks. Like, there's source material right there. Make your own thing. And why is my heater on?
Because you're freezing up there in Wyoming.
It is 55 degrees right now, so.
Wow, that's really hot. All right.
Oh, sorry. Let me.
Let us convert for you, there, George or Bruce. Anyways,
we also have. So the Northern Alliance is kind of. It's like an alliance in the north. It's exactly what it sounds like. So it's kind of like the equivalent, I would say, of the
Night's Watch.
The
Wildlings.
The Sigmar cities, whatever they're called. But yeah, Wildlings is probably a better example. This particular one, you get Northern Alliance Ice King Hunters or Half-Elf Berserkers. I mean, you could build one of each or build them all the same. It's just a dual kit, like a lot of their dual kits. I really like these for what they are. I mean, they are really cheap, which obviously helps.
Yeah, because if you go to the third link you posted, it's both kits for
there's
45.
There's a box set coming out as well, which is the ambush starter set. These are kind of like your small buy-in sets, but unlike the equivalent from Games Workshop, these are actually a starter set that's at an easier price. There's obviously less contents in them, but
Games Workshop doesn't release starter sets because no one wants to spend $800 on a box.
Well, that is true. I really like these box sets.
They did that once with Ultramarines and they didn't sell well, so.
I really like the Raven Riders, personally. If I was to build, I mean, the good thing about a giant bird is that you could kind of paint it any way you wanted to. If you wanted to paint one up to be a bald eagle, you probably could. I mean, the beak will look wrong, but does anybody really matter? Does anybody really care?
I mean, once you get to a bird that size, you can like just say, "Oh, it's like this." I mean, yes, exactly. The beak is the telling point. So, like, a peregrine falcon, that beak shape is entirely wrong. You can fudge an eagle, crow, a bunch of other birds. You could get away with that. I'm going to say between the two kits, I'm going to say the dwarves on the crow riders, even though I'm a little like on the crows.
It feels off for you. I mean, it's a very non-dwarven thing to do, which I think is the point.
Yeah. My next argument of doing something with owls, this is Northern Alliance, implying cold and stuff like that. You really don't see, you see more like, owl type birds. Like,
yeah, true.
So
snowy owl, big giant snowy owl.
Right, yeah, the giant Hedwig. Giant Hedwig's going to wreck your world.
So I have two thoughts in mind for our owl riders. Either we're designing a game around mice, so it's mice heroes, and therefore the owl is actually real size,
life size.
Or
like that Australian documentary I watched a few years ago, The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, I love that movie.
It is a good movie. I'll beyond the giving Bruce crap for being a documentary.
The other question, I mean, if you were going to have somebody writing owls, who would you have doing it?
Druids, wizards.
Well, are you talking
Yeah.
like a class or a race type?
Either, just conversation.
Druids obviously, like you could throw a druid on any sort of giant mounted animal. Like that's what druids do. They
Yeah.
find big animals, then they ride them. For an owl, I would definitely say something like, a very dwarf, because it's, if you look at owls and their personality, they're very stoic, like, they
And
puff up
stout.
their chest, they observe, right? Also they're more of a knight, because the dwarves, they have great, dark vision, tunneling underground. Owls, great night vision. Seems like a pretty good match right there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I mean, elves comes to mind, but realistically, if you're going to do elves, why would you not put them on eagles?
Yeah.
That's
Or
canonically
giant,
what you've always done.
yeah, or a giant falcon. Like I could see elves on a giant,
Yeah.
like peregrine falcon. Like that's, yeah.
I really like this, but let's move on to some Bushido.
No.
I love the Bushido game. It's so good. All right. To start off with, we have Foongus. Because if you're doing a Bakemono hero, you've got to have it with a really silly name. I quite like Foongus. He's disgusting in the best way. He's just... There's something
Got blisters all
seriously
over
wrong with this
and
guy.
boils.
So I would already just be lazy, and I'm just calling him Gus Gus. Like,
Sure.
no Foongus, Gus Gus. He's Gus Gus.
So this guy's nice and cheap. He only costs you 7 rice. I mean, I'm just going to show the card on screen if you would like to look to see what he does. I definitely think this is going to be somebody that we're going to need. Whether he is competitive is another question. I've only had a quick look at it, but for 7 rice, where can you go wrong, really? Moving on, Ryuko is a new...
It's a female warrior that's like wearing the same armor as a male,
Armor,
and like
yeah.
she's not half naked.
Yeah, they do that in Bushido
Wow.
quite a lot, surprisingly.
I'm shocked. Based on the stereotype of what, nerd culture does with
Yeah, I know.
female
I know where you're
characters.
going, yeah. So Ryuko is a samurai for the prefecture. She's 15 rice. Again, I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just showing it off on screen. I quite like the model, probably more so than the art, honestly. I actually think the model looks... The face in the artwork is a little bit weird, but the
Yeah,
model
I
is
agree.
amazing. The face in the artwork looks like it wasn't finished.
So the artwork on the card looks very traditional for the era and era and feel of feudalism. That model is just it is stunning though.
Gorgeous, yeah.
If we were to go through and do a top 10 sculpts of the year, we would be amiss at not including this one.
It is really, really nice, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Ito also have somebody, so get bang on in the comments about how horrible Poison is, even though all of you are wrong. This might be my new favourite Ito model. This guy is just phenomenal. A new model for the Heavyman. This guy is super expensive, which is kind of the way that all of the Heavymen are, really. 22 rice. But this guy looks nuts. I love this model so much. I don't know how competitive the Heavymen are, really, because they are stupid expensive. I mean, they're very elite, basically. But, again, gorgeous sculpt. I love that it's a rattler.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's the thing that's bugging me, is that it is a rattler, and I don't know if that's even a thing in Japan. I don't think it is.
No, it's a US thing. But they're trying to... It's a fantasy world, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just, pull from that culture's fantasy, like...
They have a lot of
I know.
different... They're trying to expand the different snakes, is what they're doing.
Sure. That's fair. I think showing off some Cobras and some other stuff more regional versus part of the world that that this country has never heard of. So still looks great. Don't get me wrong. Still looks great. So
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. We also have Senshi, which is one of the Fox people that are coming out. So we've already had a look at the starter set for this box. This is one of their individual heroes. So Senshi is 17 rice. Again, I'm not going through everything. I'm just kind of showing it off. For those that are looking at the video edition of the podcast, you'll be able to see it on screen. Otherwise, the link's in the show notes, as always, at gettingtabled.com. And then finally, this is a model that we have seen before, but it was not available from memory. This one is Hofuku, with a name that's really hard to say. 19 rice.
Yep, I'm not gonna pronounce it that way.
No, but yeah. Hofuku is 19 rice again, like gorgeous model.
Yeah, I really like that large pole with the samurai sword.
Yeah,
sticking up the top.
I'm kind of struggling to say which of these models is my favorite.
So I'm fawning and fanboying over the Foxes because like the Foxes have totally just like captured my attention for the aesthetics and looks, but the Ryoku model just I have not.
You're going to?
I don't know if I'm going to do a pre-order because I'm bought more flooring to finish the flooring in my house. Like I said, just did some birthday stuff for the teenager summer vacation type thing coming up. So, as I said, Ryoku, I think the models look good. She hands down kills it. She is the best looking of this batch.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Socks?
I liked her as well, but I kind of like Hofuku, just the way it's posed with the sword.
Yeah.
Admit it, you just like it because you can mispronounce his name.
No. I liked it even when I was just looking at the model, even before I realized what his name was. So before we started the podcast recording. But,
by the way, GTC Studios love the wordplay on his name.
I think my favorite, honestly, is the Ito. I love the sculpt. The fact that it's not a snake that exists in that area of the world doesn't bug me at all, because I know what the background is. So I really, really like it. Ben was talking about some bolt action this week, so I came across some terrain that I thought was interesting. Maybe Ben can buy all of this for his bolt action that he wants to play. Micro Art Studio are releasing a whole heap of pre-painted terrain for World War II. I mean, I guess you could use it for modern day, but it would look a little bit odd.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, if you travel to the right part of Europe, modern day, you're still going to see this. I mean, that's the cool thing about Europe is there's such a what's the word?
Wide range of era that you could use these buildings for.
Yeah, it's multi-era architecture you can see within an hour of each other. Yeah. First of all, love the fact that that entire kit, the farm bundle, is 160 euros, so we'll call that like $170. That's a little pricey, but when it comes pre-painted,
yeah, big time. I like the fact that they're using the same miniatures in every picture. You'll notice that there's a truck that gets used in every single one of them to show the scale of everything. I really like that they've done that. For those that have played Sniper Elite 5, I really feel like that's what I'm looking at, is just our areas from the video game where I've gone and killed Nazis. And I like the fact that the pre-painted actually has texture in it. It's not just, okay, this bit is red, this bit is grey, there's a little bit of green here, and then you're expected to do up. Like, there's actual textured detail on this. Which is
right, like
really
the roof tiles are different colors and different gradients.
It looks
some
really,
of them
really
actually
good.
has rainwater stains on the roof tiles themselves on some of the other buildings that I've seen too.
Oh, it comes with pre-cut acrylic windows as well, which is nice. That's usually
that's a
something
nice
you
little
could
touch.
skip,
It is a nice touch.
I really
That is a
like
nice
this
little
stuff.
touch.
They've done really, really well. I have to agree with you,
Oh.
George. The $160 for the farm bundle is, I mean, that's a steal. Sorry,
they've
not
got
dollars,
they've
it's
got
pounds, but yeah.
They've
Did
got
you
an
look at
entire
the
town,
Norman? Yeah.
289 pounds, 290 pounds, and that's a
Look
lot
to
of.
Look at the other one. That's 440 euro.
I didn't look at that one.
Oh, the 440 comes with the
Oh,
table
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you think about it, it comes with the table, right? So 440 euro, right? That's a lot of money. Oh, hey, I just bought this. It just showed up. I have a table with terrain to play on now. I don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
For some people, like that's a good thing. I mean, the time and it takes to put together, paint, just to play, that's huge. To do something like this, if you could afford to do it, it's like the Black Site Studio stuff. It's like if you can afford it, go for it. Oh, hey JP.
I stand corrected. It does not come with the
Oh, it's not JP. It's Shay. Hello, Shay.
I stand corrected. It does not come with the gaming mat. I'm just trying to
Doesn't
figure out what the difference is because all the buildings are the same in those two images.
No,
no,
it
they're
comes
not.
with a
No, it's just okay. It's just zoomed in. Okay, yeah, never mind. And yes, hi Shay. For those of you that are wondering why we're randomly saying hello to somebody, because our Patreon get the opportunity to listen to us record live. So that's somebody taking advantage of that. So yeah, I really, really like this stuff. This stuff is really, really pretty. There is stuff that's been released before if you want to keep on going down the page, but it was specifically the new stuff I wanted to look at.
So quick question for Socks here. How is this stuff scale-wise, do you know, to Company of Heroes?
It's a lot smaller. Company of Heroes is a lot smaller.
Company of Heroes.
That's
disappointing.
My building for Company of Heroes is about this big, whereas these ones are going to probably be.
What is that? A house for ants?
Yes, Company of Heroes is about 15 mil, I would say.
Yeah,
that's just imagine the fun you could have, like taking like 4 of your card tables back there and just setting up an entire like Normandy city.
that would be fun. That would be fun.
It would be a
It
lot
would
of
be
fun.
very expensive, but that would be a lot of fun.
He's an 04 on the Air Force. You can afford it. You can. Oh, that's right. Yeah, 05. Yeah, so yeah, you definitely can afford it. You can Google it and find out how much.
With 5 kids.
Oh, 04 with 5 kids. You can still. You can Google and find out how much he makes.
05 is in a couple of years, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. And then he can pay for all of us to go to Adepticon.
Adepticon or Gen Con?
One of them.
Yes.
You'll be able to afford my air flight, so that'll be fine. All right, moving on. We've got a couple of stories from Deep Cut Studios. These particular mats started getting shown off for Star Wars because, well, that's going to be pretty obvious why in a few minutes. I really like the Shallow Waters one. I think it looks really, really pretty. They're showing it off in
that one almost as a drop zone or drop fleet map too.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I could see that. It's probably a little bit too close to the ground for it, but
it might be.
This is the company that sells the drop fleet ones too, just for the record.
Yeah.
Undersized version, you can get one that's specifically with the shadow point markings. So for those of you that struggle to have to measure things out all the time, you can just do it that way so that you just have to put the tokens down. We also have a desert map because you need to have a desert map because it's Star Wars.
I was going to call it a Tomb Kings map, but yeah, I suppose
that works.
I suppose Tatooine is desert, yeah.
You could use this for whatever you want, really. And last but not least, if you want to kill Anakin Skywalker and give birth to Darth Vader, then this is your lava map. Deep Cut Studio makes some really good mats, so the fact that these are pretty shouldn't be surprising anybody.
That's a Fire Slayer map right there.
Yeah. You can buy it in the 6x4 too. Buy it in the mouse mat. And it'll cost you €80. It's pretty good value.
Yeah, I would. Can we get it in the new Sigmar size? Oh yeah, you can. It looks like. Ooh.
Yes, you can. I would still buy it 6x4 though, personally.
All right. Well, my table's not going to be 6x4, so.
Oh, don't then.
Yeah. That looks really good. Again, Deep Cut Studios, their mats just look amazing, and having spent years and years playing on game boards, these neoprene mats, like just rolling them out and just using it without anything else on it, just adds so much to the gameplay.
Yeah.
Like I've done some games where it's like we're on a wood coffee table kind of thing, and it's just like it looks so like lame sauce because it's just a wood coffee table. You got a couple things for training. That's it. Throwing something like this down just does so much to add so much depth to the game, and for the price, it's amazing.
My water mat that's right back here on my table. That's Deep Cut Studios. Absolutely love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. It's a 4x6 ocean mat.
I've got quite a few. I've got one of their drop fleet ones. I have quite a few of their mats. I have a big 6x4 grass mat that I don't think I've ever used yet. I have a 3x3 mat. Nope, that's by somebody else. But yeah, no, Deep Cut Studios have quite a few. The only thing to keep in mind with Deep Cut Studios is postage, especially if you're living far away. If you can buy this stuff in a group order, you will be much happier. If you're in Europe, it's not so bad, but for us down here in Australia, it works out to be quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So you're better off doing a group order if that's the way that
I was going to say, past experience, like shipping from like Europe to the US hasn't been too terribly bad.
No, it's worse for us than it is for you guys.
Well, you're on the other side in a different hemisphere, so I mean, yeah.
Oh, I'm not bitching about it. Like I understand why it's expensive. Yeah. Anyway,
I like that mat. Ooh.
Which one?
Which one though?
So I just went to their normal mats and icy waters because Dystopian Wars can be played in the Arctic areas, and so they have an icy waters mat. I'll put it in the chat real quick.
I found it.
You found it? I like that one.
That's one of those colors of blue where it's just like it just looks lovely. So good.
Yes.
It looks so amazing. It's just I can just look
really
at that.
Nice. That's like teal and blue. It's really nice.
Yeah, with the almost.
So that's not the one that you have, obviously.
No, it's not. I have a deep ocean blue mat.
Okay.
But I like this one. This might have to be my next one that I get.
This one looks so good that like you get this, and when you go to play any sort of game, you just put that down on the table to, make it easier to pick up cards, tokens, whatever, and just use that as your game mat. Period. Yeah. Forget like a terrain mat for a miniature game. That's so beautiful. Now I have to look at the deep ocean.
Oh, I found Waterworld. Waterworld.
Yeah, Waterworld. That's the one.
I think I prefer the icy one personally. This does look very pretty though.
I think Icy Waters may be a newer one because I got Waterworld. One of the first mats I got from was Waterworld. I like.
This looks good, but the icy one, I think, just that different shade of blue, like that water looks cold.
Yeah, it really does.
The common color blue that you see in most water mats. I mean, you've seen the Caribbean style where you got the light bluish stuff like that. But that Icy Waters one, I really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when one of my son's fleets. So my sons just got their starter set for Dystopian Wars this week, and my son they got the Hunt for Prometheus set, and my son took Commonwealth, and Commonwealth, one of the Commonwealth ships can actually create icebergs.
Yeah.
As part of their weaponry. So that'd be a fun one to play on that ice mat. All of a sudden, just see a little iceberg terrain piece pop up.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. All right, moving on. we can't sit here and look at this website forever. This week we got a
we
preview
could.
of the. Oh, yeah, I know we could. We got a preview this week of another upcoming Shatterpoint. I'm going to repeat the same thing I said with Socks last episode. This is really starting to feel like it's being. There's a lot of reveals happening for this very, very quickly. The releases are starting to feel a little bit too frequent. It's not as bad as the Marvel, but it's clearly going to end up going to that level, I think. Fistful of credits.
I would love to look at it, but the link is broken for me.
Oh.
It might be because, are you part of the Shatterpoint?
Oh, it's because you're not in the
Facebook page? That may be why.
Sock, send me a screenshot. Please.
Done.
You got it, Bruce?
Yep. It's in the chat. So this is, I can't, we've got Cad Bane, we've got Aura Singh, and we've got Bounty Hunters. Cad Bane is obviously going to be a character that's going to get a lot of attention because, well, Cad Bane's always been very popular.
It's Cad Bane.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not a box I would buy, I don't feel. But it's definitely something that's going to get attention, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
I like the sculpt too, honestly. George is finally looking.
Yeah. First of all, the name of the box I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, their naming conventions on this game have been very good.
That is the absolute perfect name, especially with the whole, bringing Cad Bane into Mandalorian, which is Star Wars in the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And yeah, no, that's so. And I'm not going to disagree with you saying like there's all this, push on the the releases and stuff, Bruce. But on the other hand, too, though, I do like it that they've got all this faction stuff like from the get-go to help push and get this game out to the public. Now here's my next critique of it. What are they going to do in a year for releases? What are they going to do in a year and a half for releases?
Have you seen how large the Star Wars universe is?
I understand that.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. Each of these box sets have 5 or 6 things.
Sure, I get that, but who wants to? Sure, I'm sure there's someone out there who wants to play a Gungan army, whatever. But how popular is that going to be compared to a Wookiee, or Darth Maul or General Grievous? Like Gungans, sure, there's going to be the little niche group for it, but it's not going to have the same shelf power that the stuff they've already put out there is going to have.
I think it's probably it's fair. I mean, to some extent, you can draw from the original movies, and realistically, they haven't even touched them yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I also like the fact that they have started with the
Clone Wars, the prequels.
Well, I was trying to say this in like as rude and nice a way as possible. The Star Wars that is not my childhood prequel trilogy.
Oh, yeah, fair. But a lot of what they've been doing so far has been Clone Wars specifically.
Which is still based off that, it's not my childhood prequel trilogy. I like the fact they have started there, which does give them room to move to New Hope, Empire, Return, all the other stuff. Eventually this last trilogy that was, now they're just Disney milking a cow dry.
Here's my hope. I'm hoping that we don't see anything from the original trilogy until year 2. Because I'd like them to do with that what they did with X-Men for Marvel, which is everybody's screaming for it by the time it finally comes out. That's what I'd like to see.
That's probably a pretty good idea. I'd be okay with that if I were ever to become interested.
Yeah, so I just thought this was interesting. I mean, like I said, it's Cad Bane, so obviously it's going to be popular. I will say this. I really like the idea of a Wookiee box set. We are getting Ewoks.
More or less than a Gungan set.
No, I want a Gungan set 100%. That is right up on top of my list.
And yet somehow some people still listen to us talk, despite that.
What can I say? I'm good at talking. All right, moving on. Something nice and simple. We have an Aftermath kill team coming out for Spectre Miniatures. We have looked at Spectre Miniatures before. We probably should do a deep dive on their website at some point, because this is modern wargaming and there's not really a lot of it. I like the fact that they're showing off 2 different ways to paint this as well.
Yeah.
Because these are the same minis, but they look like they're completely different, even though they're not. Like,
I'm sorry,
amazing
operators
to me.
wearing gas masks and full
Camo?
well, no, hazmat suits
Oh, yes.
with suppressed weapons. That's the stuff nightmares are made of.
Yeah. There's a reason why this sort of stuff appears in movies quite frequently. I really like this set though. This looks really, really good.
The camo ones, I think those are exceptionally creepy, considering that they painted the masks to where they look kind of skull like.
Yeah, and I don't think
Like-
that's accidental.
Oh, if it is, greatest accident ever.
I really, really like this. I really, really like this. It's so pretty. As for the game itself, I haven't played Spectre Miniatures. I have heard really good things. I've actually been following somebody that plays this game a lot recently because I've been stealing all of their ideas for modern terrain.
Shay kind of mentioned in the chat too, which this would be, if you're looking to get into this game, like he's saying like their catalog needs to stabilize some too.
The Spectre Miniatures one?
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was that or if he was still referring to Star Wars about stabilize.
Oh, yeah, that's a good reason to be wary. Corey Deshay, Spectre lost the rights to their rules.
Spectre is a game that was that they were licensing it, and they are moving into it. They're moving into a new rule set, which they haven't done yet. It's always a risk when you're dealing with licenses stuff, as you may not keep the license forever. It's the reason why Traders Galaxy created their own stuff rather than licensing Transformers, for example, because then all of the work that he did would be for literally nothing because he doesn't own any of it.
Or the uproar over OpenGL 1.1. All these other people that have used a set of rules, all of a sudden being told, hey, you're going to have to actually pay a lot more now.
Yeah, which was originally the case. It's not the case anymore because they backed down very hard from that. It's going to be interesting to see what Spectre Miniatures actually ends up doing. Because obviously, yes, they can't use Spectre, the basis of their inspiration anymore. They're going to have to find a new name and stuff, I guess. TT Combat. We talk about these guys quite frequently.
We do? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do.
It's almost like we're a fan of them. All right.
Especially when they put out cool battleships.
True. Now, there was originally a couple more on this list. They were event miniatures that have gone, but we are going to start by talking about the Hanoi. We also have a Shaltari Warstrider to look at, and we're getting light behemoths. I didn't even know that this was happening until it was announced. This was kept very quiet. So, first things first, the battleship, the Hanoi. It looks like a UCM battleship, which is a good thing because it's a UCM battleship.
It is a UCM battleship.
Yeah.
Bruce, so that's...
good
catch.
I love the giant rails in the front. That just looks really nasty.
Yeah, those railguns are huge.
The railguns almost look big enough to be a burn through. I mean, I know that they're not, but they almost look big enough to be a burn through.
It's probably a particle lance kind of type answer.
Yeah. The second one is even nastier looking. So there's 3 different ships that you can build. Oh, no. Sorry. No, there's 2 different ships you can build.
Delhi and the Hanoi. The Delhi is a heavy carrier ship. pretty much a troop ship in the form of a battleship. So that's going to be hard to push off of a cluster.
Very much so, yeah.
Unless you have a particle lance triad.
Shut up, George. No one cares about the shot.
Did I say something? What? Was that out loud?
Is that the thing that lets you shoot dropships from the air?
No, he's just talking about
No.
the wipeout ships. But that's his ship gates, anyways.
No.
That's okay. That's okay, Sus. We can throw shade at him later. We have an entire topic to throw shade at, George. It's okay.
I think it is a dropship.
The Delhi, yeah.
Yeah, he already said it was.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought that was questioning, like, is it like a dropship?
Yeah, no, it is.
No.
Sus said it was earlier. It's nice that you're listening.
No, what? Potatoes.
Yes, exactly. We also have a Sheltari Warstrider, the Bobcat. Well, is this actually new or is it being re-released? No, it's
no,
new.
This is new.
Holy cow. Socks, am I correct? The second variant is that the long range, one of the long range, like really powerful energy weapons?
The gravity cannon?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 2 of them now.
Yeah, but this has got like,
It's
6 of them.
birdie.
Oh no, that's the twin ion. That's a quad. It's an anti-air variant.
Oh, okay. No, I was. Oh, I see it now. Yeah, that is the anti-air. Yeah, never mind. I was thinking it was something different. So,
but still, 6 of them, 6 anti-air guns on that thing. That's gonna be nasty.
Yeah, it is going to be very nasty. We've done a whole series talking about the the Drop Zone Commander game. So if you go through the history of our channel, you can find game talks where we've gone through category after category after category. And then most recently, we finished off a series where we just touched on basically our suggestions for starting off the game, pretty much. So feel free to go back and check that out if you'd like to. But
yeah,
let's talk about the big thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite the big thing. The almost as big as the other big thing. We're getting light behemoths, and this makes a lot of sense, honestly.
can I point out one thing that's going to ruin this miniature for everyone? The way it's painted. It looks like it's got a giant nose sniffing the ground.
It does.
Yes,
I had seen that as well. Yeah.
You're that way.
Come here, good boy. Come here.
The solution to get around this obviously will be to paint it the same as the rest of the thing. It stands out a little bit more because they've painted it in that very bright color. I mean, it also makes it more interesting. But hey, maybe you want to have laughs with your friends at the gaming table.
That very bright flesh tone color. I mean, it could have been any other color and it wouldn't have looked nearly as bad. But since it's that kind of almost orange peach color, it looks like a big old nose.
And the sensors on the front of it almost look like 2 eyes sitting on the side of its nose.
Yeah.
Well, the little black sensor pieces that you see at the very near the bottom of it. Anyways, yes, we're getting the Acleonis.
It's very pretty.
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
Couple of different weapon variants that you have. You got some rail guns. You got some missiles.
These are massive kits to the point where they even give you a warning that it's a massive kit on the website.
Yeah, I saw one of the admins was putting together a behemoth kit, and holy smokes! Like, I knew they were big, but like, look at the size of those pieces. Like, we're talking like, Knight Titan or Imperial Knight, like the the regular size Knight for 40K size on a 10 mil game. Like, the thing is huge.
Yeah. The second variant is the Porphyrion, which trades in, where was it? Something about it trades in its giant guns for something else. Trades in its own offensive ability to instead carry 8 Venus drones, which are the very last picture. It's the giant vacuum cleaner looking thing.
It's got Venus drones because they realized how much you hated Wasp drones.
So yeah, there we go. That's the new thing that's coming out for Drop Zone. I really like the idea of it. I think a light behemoth will probably see the tail more than the actual behemoths will.
Yeah.
The only
I mean,
downside of the behemoths is that it was something in the game that you would have to build towards. It's not somewhere that you'd want to start, to the point where that's like literally the advice we continue to repeat over and over again.
Yeah, like it's designed to be used for like a grow league. Like, you know, you're adding and like experiencing the game more and more, and then finally like the last session.
And
here's the big one.
You're not going to see those until you get to close, probably 2,000 points. Yeah. Maybe 1,500. Maybe, because they're, 500 points a piece, roughly? I mean,
something like that.
At 1,500 points, that's a third of your points if you're playing a 1,500 point. So I wouldn't play with a drop or a behemoth until 2,000, 2,500 points.
Yeah, true.
Bruce, real quick, can we touch on something else TT combat-wise?
We can. There is still more on it. Is it something on this page?
It is. It's the Rashar Wells.
Yes, I have them ready to go. What would you like to say?
I would like to say this is probably one of the best looking non-MDF pieces of terrain that they have made that is so versatile for any style. Like, you could throw this into a Bushido game. You could throw it into Sigmar. You could have it in 40K. Hell, you could even use it in Wild West Exodus because it's so occulty and mystical.
I could throw this into the middle of Entropy City.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the slime ones, but like that big one that just looks like, although it has all of the occult symbols on it, so maybe I couldn't. But still, I mean.
All right, Jay, fine, you're fine.
Yeah, that's
that's about the only one.
No, you can still use it. It's just a really big. It's really big.
Orbital, it's a big surface laser. I do like how the fact that you can use the little fish or the grate and put it inside the well and make the look like this fish is looking up at you.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I like the rust effects they've done on the
going back to using this as an orbital laser for Drop Fleet with the big fish head in there. Oh my god.
Oh, is that what he said? That's a great idea. I love that idea.
No. Sock said use it as the orbital laser. I said you put the fish head in there, and it's a organic behemoth, right? What was the dragon they had? What was it classified as?
Oh, I don't know.
For Drop Fleet.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the Scourge.
No. Like the space living dragon.
You're right. I do remember that. The one that Polaris or
from the video game.
From the video game, yeah.
But like something like that size, have it under that same classification of like giant Titan thing. Like create rules like if you fly too close into atmosphere, it can reach up and grab you and eat you.
I kind of like the idea of a fish launcher. That's a lot of fun. Moving on. For more, I was about to say Cthulhu. Carnivale stuff. We've got the Thieves. We've got just a generic Thieves box. This one in front looks really creepy with that wry smile. I love this box though. I love the fact that one of them doesn't have a leg. That's just really cool. The old lady in front is just really creepy, but no, this is a really cool looking box set. The Archer looks really, really badass. I mean, she looks like she looks really mean. Now I have to censor myself.
You could say ass. Ass isn't bad. They say it on TV all the time.
We also have.
I like the gondola.
Oh, yes. Where did I have the gondola? There it is, the cabin gondola. So there is a gondola already available, but this is a new one, which is the cabin gondola.
This one looks really classy, like almost royalty would be riding around in the cities of,
or the high-ranking politician.
Pretty much.
Either one.
I could also see this going down the Nile too if you painted it in different colors. I mean, I know a gondola wouldn't belong in the Nile, but it's not that far off. But we also have the booty chasers for Rumble Slam. We have 2 monkeys and some humans all fighting together. We've got lovely lady here in a bikini. I love the monkeys with their cod pieces. That's just all kinds of fun. And then we've got the big muscle-bound guy that's literally showing his booty off.
With a peg leg.
With a peg leg.
Yeah.
This is just so much fun. I love Rumble Slam. It's just so much fun. And how can you ever go wrong with monkeys? I mean, come on. It's pirate wrestling. How can you not love that? I think that's it as far as the stuff we haven't talked about. The rest of the Rumble Slam stuff we've spoken about in the previous episode. Diamond Bella and Swole F. Or Swole AF.
Swole AF.
I know what it is. I was just saying it as it was written. So, yeah. Really, really love this stuff. Really, 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 really like it. Otherwise, any favourites from...
Oh.
Yep. Any favourites from anything in particular?
Definitely not the GTC Studio Foxes and stuff. Definitely not that.
No. You should buy them, George.
Actually, I'd probably have to say that the Realm of Fire Deep Cut Studio mat. That is probably like...
Yeah, I do like that.
That is... I mean, throw on a couple, boulder trains and stuff like that, and it's like I have like the premium Fire Slayer map.
Quite literally, yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Socks?
The Hanoi GCM battleship. I mean, I've always enjoyed those battleships. I mean, I got the Beijing. I'm wanting to get the Dreadnought still, but the ability of having more battleships in the game is nice because you're not always going to have the points for a Dreadnought. So
yeah,
if you can get a variety of battleships in the game, that's awesome too.
Yep. Battleships and probably specifically battle cruisers.
All cruisers.
They are your sweet spot. But no, I love the battleships. The battleships are so good. My favourite thing, honestly, is the first story we spoke about. I love the giant ravens being ridden by dwarves. They're just so much fun. I love how silly they are.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
Max Mini. So, this is a 3D printing site. And for those watching the video, you already know what I'm going to be saying here. These guys actually sell, officially, the Troll Trader minis. TT Combat minis. So, there is like a welcome pack if you want to do the whole subscription thing. There is also, you can just buy them. So, it's worth noting here that all of this stuff is going to be from their fantasy ranges. You're not going to find any Rumble Slam and stuff on here. This is all from their actual army ranges for those wanting to build a Kings of War army or use them as alternates for Age of Sigmar or whatever you want. We spoke recently about how Mantic was the first of the really big companies to actually start doing this sort of thing. They are by no means the first, and I did state that at the time, though people seem to have confused what I'd said. Because I was very much aware of this. And it was on my list of things to discuss on an indie quite deliberately. But Mantic is a much smaller company than... Sorry. TT Combat is a much smaller company than Mantic is, despite their greatness. So that's why I had specifically worded it the way that I had. Anyway, we got some really, really pretty things to look at. So I'm not going to sit here and look at this all day. I do, however, want to look at the Ogre Mammoth because this thing is huge and awesome. So this is all 3D printing files. So you would need to have a 3D printer for this. Although, alternatively, you could buy the resin from TT Combat. These are all available as minis as far as I understand. I love the Mammoth. It's just so good. It looks so nasty. If it was me, I'd kind of want to paint it up to look dirty as well. So I'm just scrolling through this, and I'm just going to pick some certain things. The Tomb Trolls look nice. I quite like the Giants. I mean, you're going to have some giants, obviously, because it's fantasy. The tomb trolls look cool. You could almost print them at a smaller size and make them goblins, because it's big and chunky enough that I reckon you could get away with it. But the giant with the wooden club is fun. There's another one with a stone club, which is also fun. I like the fact that we're getting alternates here. And then finally, we've got a giant with a boulder because, well, it's a giant and it wants to throw a boulder. You don't need reasons. If you want reasons, you can argue with a giant yourself.
Isn't that a giant's sole purpose is to just throw boulders?
Yep,
Yes.
pretty much.
What's up, JP? JP's
now we
on.
have a JP. This is the most lit this chat has ever been.
All right. We also have some Egyptian undead. So some dry undead for those of you that like your standard wordings. I quite like the mummy ground slaves. They are very different, honestly. Because I've never really seen anybody take that line. They're like literally digging their way out of the earth. I love that.
I scrolled down some and I found some dragons. A lock dragon, mountain dragon, rot dragon, and zombie dragon. Ooh, and there's spiders.
Spiders are good.
And a forest dragon. Ooh, and a colossal gatebreaker. Oh, that looks... My God, is that to scale?
If that's the scale, that guy's huge.
I like the halfling shield maiden on the back.
Yeah,
of
riding the
seal.
walrus.
Yeah, the walrus, sorry. Here we go. Oh, yeah, I have seen that rot dragon. That rot dragon is amazing.
Go down to the
next
colossal, the colossal gatebreaker.
Oh, I opened the shipwrecker.
Either one.
Oh, my Lord. They are huge.
Right. Yeah, is that to scale or...
I think that's to scale against a halfling. So it is a smaller human, but yes, that is to scale. Because I remember the Kickstarter this came from. That is nuts.
That's what?
That's the sort of thing that you build that's the sort of thing that you build.
Diorama.
Oh, well, that too. I was going to say it's the sort of thing that you build a scenario around. Because
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
All right, how tall is a halfling? An inch?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, he goes up to his ankle.
Yeah. Yeah,
height.
the thing is huge. We have established this.
That's got to be like at least 14 inches, I think.
I was looking for the cockatrice, but I don't think the cockatrice is on here yet. Because the cockatrice comes from that same Kickstarter.
Ooh, halfling adventuring samurai.
There's a halfling adventuring assassin too. There's a whole thing of halflings. There's a whole army.
Oh, there's a ninja.
We have looked at these halflings before. You do know that, right? Maybe you weren't here for that episode.
I don't remember him, so
we looked at these a little bit when we were talking about the mantic ones to try to show the difference between, because obviously the mantic ones are all very serious and the TT combat ones are all very silly. Because halflings are supposed to be silly. That's why they're halflings. Yeah, this stuff is really, really cool. I really, really like what they're doing here. Like I said, these are all based on actual official TT Combat minis. They're being sold officially through this for those that want to use the 3D printing route and don't want to. They want to go by that and save themselves a little bit of money. It's a very easy way of doing it. Like I said, it is all of their fantasy stuff. So if you're wanting to go and do Rumble Slam, you're still going to have to do it. Excuse me. They're still going to have to do it the old way. Same with Drop Fleet, Drop Zone, etc. So, but like I said, this is just really, really pretty. One last thing to look at. I want to look at the Crypt Serpents because, again, they're cool. and almost undead-like. I really like them. All right. Shall we discuss some hobby?
Cream, glue, prime, paint.
All right, tell us what it was like to wear a collar and run around the dog field.
This is not that kind of podcast, Bruce. So while I was not here participating, I was cooking, but here's my new favorite hobby tool.
A drill. Oh no, sorry. First it looked like a drill.
It's a reamer.
Yeah, so to get rid of mold lines and stuff, I assume.
Because I found a card holder and token trays.
Oh, okay. Because you started using
and card holder. Because I got a 3D printer. I even spent some money on organizer, and I got the storage rack and the tray plan so that I can start making storage trays. I'm waiting for the magnetic cloth to show up so I can embed that into the tray and actually start having some storage. I got Sam the Stranger Things Upside Down World board game by Simon.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna unbox that tomorrow.
Nice.
So, what else have I done? I've done other things. Oh, yeah, here's one thing that I've been working on as far as printing, and I've been working through the variants. Let me grab all the parts and pieces. So, candle, right? It's threaded so you can increase the size, hold on to it. Here is the chuck. The chuck spins. I don't know if you can see the lines inside moving in and out, which moves the jaws in and out on this guy for holding minis. And then it's got a lovely little finger support, so you can have more hand support.
That's nice.
So, the STL files are not the best. I'd say they're 92%-ish finished. There's another version where I don't need a whole bunch of the other stuff for the jaws to work. The thing I don't like about that is it's a 4-jaw setup instead of the 3-jaw setup, which 3 jaws works better for grabbing something round than 4 jaws, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
But the files I found on Colt's 3D.
Oh yeah.
The dude has I think 8 different finger supports. So it's you have a wide variety of finger supports to choose from.
That's cool. That's cool.
So, for those who don't know, I got a Anycube Cobra Go, $150. That thing is a little workhorse. It is worth the money as a entry level system.
I need to get around to getting my Ender 3 going. I've been very lazy with it.
So my next thing, of all things, I printed an egg holder for Casey because we have quails, and she asked me to get some of the multicolored filament.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a switch stand I printed for Sam. But there's a red and gold one that would work great for the organizer box for my fire slayers, and then there's a black and gold one that would work perfect for custodies. And so I'm having way too much fun.
I did tell you.
So the other thing I'll say too, that I'm pleasantly surprised with is how long a roll of filament will go for prints.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, I did see the new insert trays, JP, the ones where you can embed the magnetic cloth to have the magnetic tray. Is that the ones you're talking about? Or is there something else? I did get the new 2.0 design for the storage tray. Here, let me reach over and grab that. Where's the storage rack?
So what's been changed to the 2.0?
So this came with a double cross brace and a double pin here, so you can make a varying height storage rack.
Ah, okay, nice.
Nice.
So you can just keep going up, and it's all attached.
Yep, nice.
So, no, I've not seen those. Oh, the paint racks. Oh, I'm not interested in the paint racks. I have more than enough. Well, I don't have enough paint storage, but I have my own. What I want to do for paint racks.
But given that you spent enough money on them, that you wouldn't want to go back and do it another way now.
Right? Yeah, for sure. So
it wasn't cheap. I have been playing around with my cards for Entropy City. So the back is still the same. I don't know if you've ever seen these, George. But I played around with the front of them so that the boxes are actually, if I can hold it.
They're actually bigger
right.
than last week.
Yes. They were way too big.
Okay, flip around the back, Bruce, because the way my webcam sets up, I can't quite see your feed all the time. Oh, nice.
I mean, these are just for playtesting. Obviously, this isn't supposed to be a product. But we've got our max stress over here. We've got our wounds over here. An actual image of the mini in question. The 1, 2, and 3 on top is supposed to be the speeds that people can travel. So I've updated this with minis that we will be looking at in a second. You may also notice, and again I'll show this off in a second, there's a green coloured rim on them. There's one that doesn't have a back because I ran out. I may have accidentally made a boo-boo. I also have arguably the world's worst card holder. Why is it the world's worst card holder? Because it's made of paper. So it's going to last 3 seconds and it'll break.
3 days.
Yep. Socks has seen these already, but I know you haven't. We have a burning token. These are actually printed on paper, but they've got a resin thing over the top of them. We have an Overwatch marker. We have a bleeding marker. We have a token for max stress. We have a stunned token. And you can't read this, but it says distracted. This is kind of something I'm testing. I have another set for the Hades.
I'm going to interject real quick on your icons for the tokens are, excuse me, the perfect pictures, like the stunned one. That is so perfect.
Yeah, these are all placeholders, it is worth noting. I will have to get actual proper artwork done for these at some point. But my thing for stunned is always going to have been that long term, I kind of want to incorporate motorbike helmets into the actual imagery is my long-term goals. Because obviously, like this is artwork that I've borrowed. Some of which is free, some of which is not. In saying that, I've completely customized that. And the stun one, I'll probably end up drawing that myself because that's really easy. But otherwise, I'm really happy with how all of this is turning out.
Yeah, no, the tokens, I think, as simple as they are, like a good token, it does so much for the gameplay. Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, up until now, I've kind of just been representing certain things with dice. So I would put a dice in front of the mini if it was stopped. I'd put it behind if it was on Overwatch and things like that. But you can only do that for so long. Just because I can remember that doesn't mean everybody else will.
Well, and like I said, the tokens do so much to convey, statuses in the game. I mean, there's a reason why there's some board games where, it's, 5 punch-out sheets of tokens. Why? Because that's how, you mark stuff in the game. So,
the only one I don't have is a stopped one because I forgot to print them. And I realized that about an hour ago.
The one thing I will say, though, is, you can get to the point of where you have too many tokens.
Which I don't intend to. Realistically, there's already one in here that I may not... Like, this distracted one probably won't actually end up being in the game.
Which one did you say, Socks?
Fantasy Flight Games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you buy Armada and Legion and it's just the same token sheet over and over and over again for every unit that you buy.
150th scale garbage truck for terrain. But this is literally a die-cast toy, much like the one that Sucks saw last fortnight.
Yep.
So, actual 28mm. But I have officially divided up the minis into cruisers and sports bikes. I really hate the way I've painted this guy, but anyway. So then we've got green and red bases to help differentiate them. So there's no more going to be getting confused by things.
Any thoughts or plans on doing like, your oh God, what are they called? Your motocross bikes.
Yes.
Ooh.
I actually have
Okay.
some already. I just haven't got them painted.
Okay.
I quite like that one, actually. He's just decided
those
that
are
he's
looking
too
good.
tough to wear a shirt. He's too sexy for this shirt, so he took it off.
Is his name Fred?
Sure, why not? That's actually a really good idea. I should give him a name called Fred.
He's asking about trikes. You plan on doing anything with trikes?
I don't have any rules for trikes yet, but they should be featuring. My theory for trikes is no. I do know what's going to happen with them. Trikes will just be there will be Hades' version of a quad because they wouldn't ride a quad. They will have a trike. It just makes more sense that way.
Are you any thoughts of doing like a Can-Am type trike where it's 2 in the front, 1 in the back?
Not at this stage, but I will
Okay.
always have to expand. But if this becomes
Sure.
a product,
Yeah.
then I will need to expand and add different things than that all the time. But yeah, so that's most of my focus at this stage is on my game because it kind of needs to be. Rules wise, we're up to like 29 point something.
Too funny, Shay.
It's great having a peanut gallery.
I have no idea what they're saying because I can't look at it.
Oh, they're just.
How about a circus unicyclist?
Or a former spandex-clad bicyclist.
Oh yeah, the guys with the
I've
helmets.
given thoughts to that one. Don't worry. There is going to be scooters, and they're going to be like a horde. They're going to be like a horde faction.
That's funny.
Like little Vespa scooters.
Yeah. But they get a stealth mechanic where they get advantage in close combat because nobody actually expects them to be any good at it. Because cruisers never look at them and don't see them as a threat. Therefore, they can sneak up on you. Because they basically ignore them, like in real life.
That's funny.
Docs, what have you been up to?
So I showed that this part of the cloud last week. I've actually got them on my bases now.
That is stunning AF.
Yeah, so got that one, and then I've got my smaller one, and I've got some copper-colored wire, kind of the lightning bolt strike coming out. So,
what you need to do then, if you're going to go with like lightning and stuff like that, is get yourself a
strobing LED.
No, a Jacob's ladder and hook it up so like they're like discharging. Also, you'll need to have people sign a waiver who play games with you and have a sign that says "Do not touch."
Yeah,
because that will kill them.
I mean, it's not like you have kids to be concerned about, Socks. Like 5 of them.
That. And two of them are playing the game with me now, so I got to kind of be careful with them too. So
careful, schmaffle.
Well, it's like when you were growing up, you touch the hot burner once. Do you touch it again?
No.
Put up a warning sign if they're gonna go touch it. I told you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know if I showed these off. These are my airships that the.
I saw the one where you had like the one front section painted up, but that does look good.
Yeah, so that's with the Seraphim Sepia wash on top of the buff paint that I did. So that's the color that I was kind of looking forward to, and so I'm now going over and doing all the grays and the blues and stuff like that, my copper or my brass, and then they'll be finished for these guys. So,
Washes are just Instagram filters for minis games.
It's true.
True.
Socks. What water effects are you using? Because I'm assuming that's water effects, right?
It is water effects. So I did a light turquoise base color, and then I did a dark blue ink wash, and then I did just a white dry brush on the wave tops. That's it.
But is there water effect on it? Or is that just paint?
There is a little bit.
Okay.
No, there's a little bit of water effect on it as well.
Yeah.
So now you have to repaint them so they match your the icy water playmat you're gonna get.
So that's going to be my crown one. So they kind of already do. That's my crown set. And that's all that is a dark sea blue and a gray blue dry brush on top of it. So
I mean, you can go like really super sci-fi and just make them all on lava bases or something.
I could, but no. Anyways, another thing I've been doing is, so this is my order of battle for one of my destroyers, for example, and it doesn't have any of the weapon stats. So I have to look at a separate sheet for all my weapon stats. So over the last couple of days, I've created my own unit card for my entire Imperium army. So
nice.
That way I don't have to go flipping through 40 pages worth of unit stats. I can just pull out the cards that I need for the game and go from there. And it has everything that I need for the game right there.
That must have just made your Air Force officer side of yourself organization skills just get all happy and do a little dance.
Yes, it did.
I made an organizational chart. It has stats.
Yes.
Do you know what I think of those kind of things, Socks? I'll just fix it. Give it back. Get out of my face. I don't care about your chart.
That's okay. As it was.
I was impressed, Socks. Don't listen to him.
I appreciate it.
No, all joking aside, that is a great game aid. I think sometimes
out of the three of us, it does make sense that Socks is the one that decided to start doing organizational charts.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with that. I will say this. Like having seen like all the accessories you can buy or third party or whatever, like, you know, and this was even the very specific thing we talked a lot about on Hot LZ with Drop Fleet was, you know, they made a game, they made it functional. Sure, some of the stuff didn't work, and people were coming up with all sorts of alternative methods.
Allen spaces,
you know, me gluing little pegs on for pony dice, you know, or pony beads to track statuses that way. Yeah, there's all sorts of, you know, other things people can do, you know, and I think doing something like that, you know, you may consider once you get them, like, you know, dotted and crossed with the I's and T's, you know, put them on a community forum and just be like, hey, you know, or at least put up a template so people can, like, you know, insert information and then print their own for their own faction, whatever.
So I printed off a couple just for the ships that I have, but from the information that the company's put out, they're going to come out with a new order of battle, so a new version of the rules. The stats of some of the ships or point changes may fluctuate here and there. So I haven't printed off all my unit cards yet, and I haven't gone through all the factions that my two boys play yet, and a couple of the other guys that I play here locally with. I haven't created their factions, but by the time I get through them all, we may have those new version out, so I can go in and adjust here and there as needed to. So, but
sounds like a plan. From here for me, is it this guy? So this particular mini is going to be using a chain. So I've got a hobby chain that's coming that is going to be like swinging around his head type thing. So I get to have some fun with super glue, my like actual most favorite substance ever. Not. I hate.
Get some UV resin. So much. Get some UV resin. Put a little drop curate, a little drop curate, a little drop curate.
I tried that with minis when it first came out and had nothing but trouble with it. So I've generally avoided the product ever since.
Okay.
Granted, it's basically the same thing as what we do with 3D printers anyway. But yeah, I had nothing but trouble. It just went all gooey. It never actually set for me. So I have refused to touch it ever since.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a good suggestion, and I am very much aware that I am the only one that had I had problem with it. But I just avoid it. I had given thought to trying to find a way to sculpt it, but it should be fine. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I hate working with super glue. I really do. But it's as far as cheap nasty is concerned, it's probably still the easiest way. The only issue is that if you get a snap like right where the hand is, then all of the weight of it's going to go boom down onto the rest of the menu.
Yeah.
And that's just as likely with the resin. It's not stronger than super glue. Super glue, if anything, may have a little bit more flex than the resin will. Because you won't use enough. You're not going to use enough of either of them to have super strength.
I was more of suggesting as like instead of like fiddling and waiting for glue to dry, just
yeah, true. That is true.
That was my thought of if you little drop, set in place, cure it, it's done. Yeah. You don't have to deal with that nasty insect set stuff for super glue, and you don't have to use baking soda, which can leave a little bit of residue.
True.
Yeah.
So, shall we move on to game talk?
Talk nerdy to me.
We touched on at the start of the episode about the Leviathan box set, but that's not what we're talking about specifically today. It's new edition time. So, therefore, everybody else that's in the community gets to listen to exactly the same argument that we've had every single time any game ever has a new edition. And that is, why did they have to nerf my da-da-da-da-da-da-da? Why did they have to nerf my Standguard veterans when they were already fine? Why did they have to nerf my Shaltari? Grr.
Well, to be fair, I will be the proponent for this.
I know.
The Shaltari nerfing. That's a needed thing.
I've been part of this argument in the past as well, because I didn't always understand. I can give a very good example. There was a Blood Angel Codex that came out right near the end of 6th edition or the beginning of 7th. It was one or the other. The Blender Dread, the Death Company Dreadnought, used to be fairly notorious because if you got hits, then you could make more hits and so on and so forth. So it was like a burn through. It just steamrolled. And people used to moan and complain about how broken it was all the time, which it wasn't because it died really easily, which is where your balance was. It was also not cheap. So
there's a reason why 30K Horus Heresy is still on 7th edition.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's 6th.
Yes.
Is it 7th?
Or 6th, yeah. It was Horus Heresy has not updated with 10th edition, 9th edition, whatever. They've stayed on the same edition. Which that was the other thing too that I saw a lot of people complaining about. The Leviathan Dreadnought you can no longer use in 40K.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've changed the rules so that a lot of the Heresy Dreadnoughts, many stuff like that, you can no longer use them in the 40K universe.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
So
to be fair, I can understand why they will have. Anyway, look, there's two parts to this conversation. Yes, we are going to be talking about nerfing quite a little bit, but I also kind of wanted to talk about why games actually have to do new editions every so often. About 6 to 8 months ago, we got that Drop Fleet 1.5 that we were very critical of. I even own a copy of it. I had some very positive things to say about it, but I am still going to sit here and say right now that it was the wrong move for the game. They should have made second edition because Drop Fleet Commander desperately needs a second edition right now, and this means we won't get one for probably 2 years. Because it eventually gets to a point where a game is stale and needs to have a rules update. The ground combat in Drop Fleet Commander specifically has never worked, and it's always needed to be updated. It's never been fixed.
And it's the reason why, a game, can't be done in an hour, and why it drags out a game out for 2 hours. At this point, too, a game like Drop Fleet where, we've got, a third as many now new ships for each faction, plus an entirely new faction. There's some rework that needs to be done. So
to begin with.
Yeah, so it's, there's reworks that need to be done, so we're not constantly looking through which errata was that, which update was it, where's this at, It's a thing that needs to happen.
Adding new minis to a
game.
Adding new minis to a game is definitely one way to generate excitement. But it does eventually get to a point with any game on the market, whereas if you don't look at that initial rule set and go for a new edition, it starts feeling very stale.
Well, and that's where, so the Games Workshop, right? They have the core rule set, and then they drop the codex for each faction that has all that unit's specific stuff. You got, TT Combat with Drop Fleet. It's one book. Yep. So right now we're on 1.5. Are these new? Is that the new Hanoi? Is that in 1.5?
No, it's a separate document.
Space stations. Exactly. So you have to have all that extra stuff. Like, when you start introducing that new stuff, you either, one, have to reprint it to add that new stuff and say, hey, here's the new book with everything updated. So you have the one source for all the information. Or two, you do the new rule set to update everything that's,
But this is where
available.
You're forgetting that the stats for all of the stuff is not in the rulebook. It's on the website.
It's on the website now.
So that becomes a non-issue. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are people out there that criticize them for that. I'm not one of them.
I'm going to disagree with that. Like, I think that's fine and great that it's available on the website. One, I still think, you still need to have physical access to a book. I spent 2/3 of the day somewhere. My phone didn't work. I couldn't even make a phone call. So to say, oh, it's on the internet. Okay, and the internet's not 100% reliable. The internet does go down.
It does.
So, I think there's still the room and need for the physical edition. Don't get me wrong. Putting the rules online is a great service to the fan base to where they can just look it up. But it's also a disservice to your fan base to not do that book, because a lot of your fans are going to want that book. They're going to want the artwork. They're going to want the story stuff. They're going to want all of that. And that's why they buy the book in addition to getting all the rules.
Yeah. Big time.
Unless, you're releasing a new edition every 8 months and, they have to get a new core set, a new codex, and, they finally got their stuff, and then you change the rules again, and then you have to go through that entire vicious cycle again. Because
there is a reason that nobody else does that model. Games Workshop do it because they have their customer base trained to accept it. And I'm not taking that comment back. They have trained you for this, and you all know it.
Well, and the fact is, their game is big enough to where they can do that. They can say, new edition, new books, this is it, whatever, we don't care. They're big enough to do that. TT Combat, Malifaux, all the others, AMG, they're not. They're not big enough to, like, every year push a new edition down the throats of their
or every
fan base. Yeah. So, I mean, now that being said,
in the case of Games Workshop, they kind of cause their own problem to some extent too. Though.
And they do, yeah. Like Leagues of Votann, like that launched, and before it was really available in stores, TOs were banning it.
Yeah, and that conversation has already started again. There's already conversations that Eldar need to be banned, and the rules for them aren't even released yet. It's the community really is its worst enemy in some cases with things like this. Now, the argument for Leagues of Votann, whether they were broken or not, is kind of irrelevant. Like, because it wasn't the community that made that call; it was the TOs. So, yes, it probably was broken.
Well,
But you can't talk about banning something that nobody even knows what it is yet.
I would argue that TOs are, kind of the leadership face of the community, where they're making a decision for the rest of the community. They're not Games Workshop, they're not the players. They're that intermedium, and they're making the decision on behalf of Games Workshop for the community. So, but
nerfs, new additions as well. So, a lot of this conversation has been around Games Workshop because they do this much more frequently than anybody else. To the point where I think most people will agree, whether you're excited for the 10th edition or not, most people, I think, once this hype will die down, will return back to the point of, this is happening a little bit too frequently. Because all of the Games Workshop releases are happening too frequently. It's kind of the point. Their model is that they will keep you so distracted by all of their stuff that you will forget to look out at anybody else. It's why we focus on the indie side of the business so much. Also, it's way more interesting.
I swear I remember hearing this somewhere too, where I think at least twice now Games Workshop said this is going to be the last edition and we're only going to do this.
I haven't heard that, but it doesn't mean that they didn't say it.
Yeah, I can't find it, but I know somewhere it's just like, we're going to do this. This is the core. This is not going to change. All changes will come through codexes.
Which is interesting because there's people out there that also reckon that they said that there was no more codexes, which is 100% a lie. They was always doing new codexes, and they made that very clear.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there right there. Space Wolves, Wolfen, you got to have a faction specific codex when you have units like that for an army.
Yeah, because it doesn't work otherwise. It's all well and good for a game that's a small skirmish game to have one rule set and all of the models are in that, and they're kind of like Entropy City, for example. All of my characters are on 90% of my characters are on motorbikes. So to some extent, they're all gonna kind of feel like different versions of each other, because in that world it makes sense. In 40k, you can't do that because an Eldar flying around on a hoverbike can't feel like somebody that's in a tank, because then the game is boring.
And to make it even more similar, you can't have an Elder jet bike feel like a Space Marine bike. It's actually the same thing. It's got one rider and flies around or drives around, but they're not the same thing.
They may as well be. Sorry, the bikes in 40k never feel like bikes to begin with, so they may as well be people on foot for all that matters.
Oh, okay. Here, let me make it even more similar. Eldar jet bikes versus the Custodi jet bikes. Those aren't the same. They shouldn't feel the same because they're completely different things, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
exactly. I was just being snide.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
But having a new edition for I ranted on Dropfleet because it was convenient. Because there's precedent for it. But a new edition for a game, as much as everybody at some point will go, oh, they're doing it again. I just got used to this. It's a very important thing for a game to have a new edition. It revamps it. Look at how much discussion started happening around Carnivale when that new edition came out. It went gangbusters. And then it kind of settled down again because, of course, it did. The same thing is happening right now for 40k. And the community for 40k right now is extremely positive on most of what they're talking about. 6 months ago, nobody had anything positive to say about Games Workshop. Well, maybe not nobody, but a lot of people were really tired of it because 9th edition got to a point where it was just broken. Says the person that hasn't played it.
I think, you're right. It's been mostly positive until there was the whole mention of, oh, you can't use your 30k stuff anymore. That, like some guys just like, hey, I've got this Dreadnought now. I can't use it. I haven't even fully put it together. Someone want to buy it, for at least what I paid for it?
Which you can't do. That's not the way that the marketplace works. But
well,
don't get me wrong, I understand that it sucks for that guy, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he has every right to be upset about it. But the problem is that So they're going to have to do something like this with Age of Sigmar as well. Because if they're going to have 2 different fantasy games, they have to feel different. I may get to a point next year when that game comes out where I may not be able to use my Skaven in Age of Sigmar. I hope that's not what they do to me, but it won't surprise me if they do. Because those sort of items in 40k are supposed to be extremely rare. Like, they're almost not supposed to exist anymore, the old 30k stuff, because they don't know how to make them anymore. And also...
Yeah, the technology's been lost, so I mean...
The game didn't exist when they were doing it. The rules for that sort of stuff existed just so that people would have them. They were always kind of a temporary measure. I mean, it doesn't make... I'm not saying they're... I'm not trying to belittle the thought that these people have, because like that they are right to be upset about it. But writing was kind of on the wall with that one. It was probably going to happen anyway.
Well, the writing's been on the wall ever since they did the whole Primaris thing. Like, you know, you can't use Horus Heresy stuff, right? Okay, so what is every single Marine army in Horus Heresy? Even the traitor armies. It's all firstborn.
Yep.
Like, that should have been the key indicator right there back in whatever edition that was when they started doing Primaris is, size creep, hero creep, whatever you want to call it, that they're going to go for that. So, and that's the update. That is the change, and sometimes it's a nerf, and I'm going to positively speak about nerfs here for a second.
Yes.
Playing Shaltari.
Yeah.
Okay. So Socks, you've played PHR, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've played against Shaltari.
Yes.
And ever since I told Levi, I'm like, oh no, just do this. How bad was he wrecking your face?
Yeah, it was bad.
Right? So what did Hawk War Games TT Combat have to do? They had to tone stuff down. There was a frigate. It was 2d3 plus 3 or something like that. Shots. And it was scan distance, which for Shaltari, that's not a huge issue. All this stuff. And it was just nuking ships for super cheap. Points wise. Oh, and it was quick. It was, it was a multi
hard to hit because
it was a multi-unit battle group. So if you take one out, there's still 5 more you got to take out, and that's still gonna hurt. It's not like, oh, that's a big battle cruiser, I'm gonna take that out. Done. It's you gotta plink away at it, and while you're plinking away at it, it's knocking cruisers out left and right. So they toned it down. Battleships became a thing. Cool. We have this big burn through. You got
Triad.
Yeah, you got an awesome missile that hits on 2-ups. Cool. You have a finite amount of those. I have a particle lance triad. I could literally shoot every single turn of the game and literally wipe a ship every single time I shot that. Stuff like that needs to happen. Like, I understand what Dave was doing. He was going, Space Hedgehog, advanced technology, advanced weapons. That's how they're conquering stuff. But in a game like this, there's got to be some balance. And the balance wasn't there to begin with. And so you have to do that. When you have, I'm going to throw out Warhammer Fantasy, a Dwarf Lord, you could ruin that guy up. And he was literally hitting on anything but ones, able to do 12 hits of damage at a strength 8 with an armor piercing of 2. Do you know how many things could survive that in Warhammer Fantasy?
Nothing.
Not much. Not much. Those big Stegodon riding things that the lizardmen have, the big dinosaurs. Yeah, my Ruin Lord or Dwarf Lord with ruins could wipe one of those at a turn without even trying.
Yeah,
and there are people out there that the whole fun of the game is to find this stuff and exploit it, the fact where one of the things that killed Warmer Hordes for parts of the community was that percentage of gamers that would go out and they would buy 20 versions of an item and put it into their army so that they could ruin everybody's day. And that was their only goal, because they wanted to win and nobody else was allowed to have fun. Well, not so much the fun thing, but their only goal was to ruin it, because that's what they found fun. And look, whatever people find fun is all well and good. But there needs to be checks and balances in rule sets to try to avoid that. Now, Warmer Hordes actually did do checks and balances every month. Don't worry, I am aware of that. I was leading to it. And Games Workshop have started to do that more frequently as well. Can they catch... we'll use the example that you said earlier, the whole Leagues of Votann thing.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the best example since it's probably the most recent.
But until something reaches the public, you have no idea whether it works or not. And you can play test things as much as you want, but you can't always catch everything. And it was just the Shaltari got nerfed a lot. There was frequent nerfs towards it. And to be fair, nerf is not the right word. We're only using that word because it's what the community uses. Because it kind of gets this thing of, it's not fair. But it is fair. It's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, I tried to find a different word, and the only word that actually, is, in the internet that I found is nerfing. There are other words, but it doesn't have the same feel or effect.
No, yeah.
And
it's something that's very important because, from a purely selfish point of view, if they change all of the stats on these things and then increase the stats on this other thing, then it means that, we get to sell more of this other thing. Yes, that is certainly part of it for certain game companies. But
I'm going to throw something else out here even. Because I think just about everyone's heard of this game, Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
Ban lists. Those things are constantly changing.
Yes.
Just because the game designers can do all they want. They are not the collective hive mind of however many, I'm going to say millions of players around the world. Because it is that amount. And
there are those that will argue that they don't actually try. But whether that's true or not is another question.
But there is that top, I'll say top 5% where their brains are able to figure stuff out and they are able to exploit the game.
Yeah.
They exploit the game for 3 months. Yeah. And it's happening right now. And they'll exploit it for 3 months, and Wizards of the Coast will update a list saying everyone in the community is now running this. There's no diversity in the community. We are making these changes to bring diversity back.
Yep. And that's where I was leading, is that if everybody only plays one army, then clearly there's a problem. Or if 80% of the community are only ever playing one army, there's a problem. Because it means that stores will never sell anything else, and therefore they will probably stop selling the product entirely. That is a genuine problem. Maybe not for Games Workshop, but for everybody else. And if everybody's all playing the same army, that leads to a very boring game. That's what kills a franchise.
Legion.
Yeah.
I've stopped playing Legion completely because of the tournament aspect at my store. Completely killed it for me, but also the points changes. We saw this at Adepticon. There was over 150 players there that played at the Legion tournament there at Adepticon. Over half of the players there had a Empire Blizzard Force army. Over half.
Yeah, which is just
one type
boring.
Of army. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the players that we have here in the local community that come to the monthly tournaments that we have are exactly the type that you just talked about, where they just like to exploit the find the niche meta, and they don't care if they let anybody else have fun. They're there to win. And I won't go into more tournaments, and I'm not going to play. And they actually just released new point changes just earlier this week. I haven't even looked at them.
Yeah,
because it's not even on my mind to even go look at these new point changes and adjustments.
So that's one side of it. I mean, yes, sales certainly helps. Games, I think to some extent, nerfs gets thrown so negatively because for a very long time, Games Workshop were the worst for it. And that was pretty much all that they did, was that, well, I want to sell this, so we will nerf this, and then the new edition will make this new one.
And we'll release this new codex and make it, worthy of nerfing, but we're not going to do it for 6 months so that we sell,
Yeah.
our sales are made up of 40% of this product. So
power creep certainly doesn't help, and Games Workshop, they are shocking for it. The question was raised recently in one of the, I think it was actually a 40k group that I responded to. So why do everything have to be nerfed? And I gave what sounded like a very sarcastic comment at the time, which was something along the lines of, a game company needs to do this every so often because if they can reduce the usefulness of something, it'll force the community to go out and buy something else. Now, it's a very cynical and sarcastic thing to say, but it's actually a genuine market strategy. And I think most people just don't see that because, you're just being a Games Workshop hater. Which, ironically, I didn't actually say anything nasty about Games Workshop at all, but I think that's the way that most people take those comments.
Yeah.
But, diversity is the word that you used. If everything has a reason to be in a game, then it's diverse and it's more fun. Because if everybody, hypothetically, let's just say that everybody was playing Blizzard, the Blizzard Force that Sock said earlier. It's really boring because they're also all bringing the same units. If, however, they all had reason to bring different parts of the Imperial forces, it probably wouldn't feel so bad. Because, okay, yeah, sure, I've got the Blizzard Force, but this other guy has clone troopers, and it works just as well. This other guy has, I don't know, what else is there? There's more than one rep. Oh, well, I was just using the Imperials as an example. Like, in theory, there should be 4 or 5 different lists that you can use within that one army. In a positive gaming experiences, all of them should be viable. They're not right now, but they should be.
Yeah, most recent thing I saw, it was in the Dropfleet Commander community. This guy was just absolutely raging on Shaltari, how they're overpowered, they need to be nerfed so horribly.
I will agree with him.
And I'm not going to disagree. There's probably still some power tweaks and everything that still need to be made, but they have been nerfed. Changes have been made to reduce that.
100%.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. If you look at tournaments, it's not the top 5 are not all Shaltari.
No, they're just the easiest to play with, and that's why it's.
There's still UCM, there's still PHR, there's still Scourge, Putty and Showings.
Yeah,
and that does come down to player skill. Yeah. I mean, I like to use the drop universe as the token balance game out there because it's 5 factions. It's really easy to balance a game when you have 5 factions to worry about. It was even easier when you just had 4, but then the community's like, we want resistance. Dave caved and he made resistance, so now there's a 5th one.
I think technically TT Combat caved on that one because I'm pretty sure that was a Louis decision.
Someone caved and we have resistance. Yeah. Games Workshop, we have Ultramarines, we have Salamanders, we have Space Wolves, we have Imperial Fists, we have Blood Angels, we have Dark Angels, we have
everything but Groot, and I'm upset.
That's just the Space Marines. Then you have the armies of the Imperium. You have, the Imperial Guards. You have Custodies. You have Knights. That's not Space Marines, but that's still the Imperium. Then you have Chaos, Tzeentch, Khorne, that's kind of under control because, it's 4 factions and unaligned. That's pretty under control. Then you have Xenos. You've got, your Necrons, and that one's starting to get out of control because they've been adding to that. We now have Votann. Games Workshop is popular because they have a flavor for everyone. They're like Baskin Robbins. But the problem is when you have too many flavors,
you can't balance them all.
You can't balance them. You're going to have your tuna fish ice cream with chocolate chip. That's going to be gross. And it's not going to work together.
I love this metaphor so much. It's so stupid. Oh,
it makes a lot of sense. The show Iron Chef America, there was a Japanese chef. The secret ingredient was trout. No, not an Iron Chef. He was a challenger.
Okay.
The secret ingredient was trout, so he made trout ice cream. That's why I said trout ice cream, because it is still to this day one of the most revolting things made on that show.
Anyway, so I wanted to bring this up because there's multiple sides to this argument. Oh yes, if you go out and the problem is that every time something gets nerfed, there will be at least 4 or 5 people that bought that item within the last couple of days.
So
here's the problem. There is no good time to make a change on a game. You're always going to upset somebody. But whenever those changes get made, I can guarantee you that they would not have been made if they did not have to happen. Because guess who has to listen to 90% of all of those complaints? The people that made the change.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw this out here as to why we see this, right? So, Bruce, do you have a set route you go to work on every day?
Yeah.
Okay, Socks, same thing. Set route, right? Okay, what happens when they do a roadworks and you have to detour a half-mile one direction, go through a side street where your speed limit is reduced and it's not designed for that traffic flow to get to your ultimate destination? You get grumpy and irritated because you're a creature of habit and your habit has to be changed.
I love the fact that the person that doesn't travel to work is the one making this argument.
But we're creatures of habit. If you look at what a wild animal does, they do the exact same thing. They do one thing, they do the next thing. We are the same thing. We have learned a rule set for the last year, and they were saying, your rule set is going to be changing. No, I don't want change. I want my same habit, to go on and on. And that's all it is. Once we get the new thing and we learn it, we like it until we're told to change again.
Pretty much.
Or some people don't like it.
There is a game out there that Shay is talking about that's getting a new core rule set every day. And Shay, if I can push this product hard enough, I will have new editions every hour if I can, just to annoy you. He's talking about my game because my game is still being tested, and obviously every time I test, I find problems, and then I have to fix things.
Did you like my response to that, Bruce?
Yes, it was amazing. I went over and I grabbed my phone because it means that I can see the comments.
So,
but yeah, that was the discussion. Like, I just wanted to kind of point out that as much as, and don't get me wrong, like, I completely get it. I have been upset by nerfs and stuff, and hell, new edition. There's been some times when new editions of games have ruined them. That is genuinely something that happens.
Legion.
They're not just Legion. I'm worried about what they're going to do with Armada because they haven't touched Armada for 2 years since they got it, 2.5 years. It's in desperate need for a second edition, but none of the original game designers for Legion or Armada or X-Wing made the transfer over with AMG.
No, they all chose to go back to board gaming, which is what they wanted to do.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Sock. Sorry.
So I have thousands of dollars of Armada stuff sitting on my shelves right now. I'm worried that because of the changes, of the way they made changes for Legion, something drastic is going to happen with Armada, and I'm not going to like that game at all when this new edition or whatever is going to come out here later this year, next year, whenever it's going to be.
And that 1,000 becomes a couple hundred. Yeah, no, I get that. I think the long story short of this is, we need new editions. Sometimes nerfs are bad. Sometimes nerfs are good. Sometimes they're really needed. And like I said, we are creatures of habit. We don't like change. We get into the comfort zone and the comfort cycle. And when someone says this thing you've been doing, you're not doing it that way anymore, it does upset us until it becomes habitual. And I remember this too. It's I think it takes like 30 days for something to become a habit. So it's going to take 30 days of going over the rules, reading the rules, learning the rules, playing the games for it to become a habit and for you to like it and keep going with it. Or, nope, this is not working. This is like this now. I don't want to play a game like this, and walk away from it.
And that is definitely something that people can do. And you know what? It's something I would encourage people to do, because Lord forbid you go out and try and find a game and find out that it's better than what you were already playing.
Like
seriously,
Dystopian Wars?
there is so many games out there. Yeah.
Bingo. I think I found my new game. I love this game. Absolutely love it.
This was me with Malifaux just after, like, when I got to that point where I couldn't stand 40k anymore. I went out there, a friend of mine showed Malifaux, and I haven't played a game of Malifaux in months, but it's been on the top of my list for so long. I mean...
Yeah. So, Dystopian Wars, I very much appreciate you guys getting me that box for my birthday, but since getting it, I've got a local player in the community that is now getting his own starter set and stuff like that. He had the old Spartan Games version of the game, but now he's starting to get some of the new stuff from more Cradle Studios. We just taught one of his friends last Wednesday. I taught one of my neighbors down the street from me the game. He's buying a Union starter set this week. My two boys now have it. There's 5 or 6 players in the local community now within the last month since I got this game.
So I'm going to throw this out here real quick before I suggest we move on and wrap it up.
Yeah.
What did we talk about 2 or 3 episodes ago? Hobby burnout?
Yeah.
Right? Hey, Socks, you don't look burned out anymore. You look excited. You look like you're having fun.
Absolutely.
Hobby burnout is a thing.
Walking away from a game that is causing stress because of a nerf, a rule change, whatever.
Even
if, a good thing.
Even if those stress points have nothing to do with the game and are just all about you, sometimes walking away can be a really good thing.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
A little thing called Gen Con?
Yeah.
Do we know what this is?
It's some small event. Nobody really knows about it. It's happening in August, though, from 3rd till 6th. I'm sure there'll be nobody big there. I mean, it's not like it's this huge event with hundreds of thousands of people that attended or anything. PAX Australia is coming up as well. That's from the 6th till the 8th of October. Northern King Kong still is the best name for a convention I've ever heard. I challenge somebody to come up with a better one. That's in Yorkshire.
There's one that happens in Denver. It's called the Genghis Con.
That's pretty good. I think King Kong is still just
yeah.
24th to the 26th of November. If you have events and you want us to talk about them, let us know in advance. I try to find some, but like seriously, I know that there are events out there that we don't know about.
I mean,
just reach
friend of the
out.
show, Thunderboy. He likes to make sure we know about and let people know about. I can't remember the one that he does all the time.
That should be coming up at some point too, actually.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, so I mean, he's always active in that, and he makes sure that when he has the details, we get the details, and we share it out there. It's we have people from literally all over the globe listen to us. If you want your event out there, let us know. We'll talk about it.
Reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Like seriously, we'd love to hear from the community more. You can visit us on Patreon, but before you do, Valhalla Hobby. Valhalla Hobby is the reason we have gettingtabled.com. It's literally the only way we can afford it. If you use code GT2305, you get 5% off any order over $100. They have a real passion for the niche community. Like, so you will find Bushido, you will find Mantic, you will find Drop Zone.
Wars.
You will find, what was that one, sorry?
Dystopian Wars.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Bruce.
Oh, I didn't hear what he said.
And just beyond that too, like before the discount code, even their prices are already they're more reasonable
already.
Yeah, like Wayland's, the actual distributor, they couldn't match the price that Valhalla Hobby was already giving.
Yeah.
So
if you're in the United States, valhallahobby.com. If you use the code, you get a discount. We get no kickback from that. It's just something that they're giving us for our listeners. So by all means, go nuts and support the people that support us. Speaking of people that support us, if you like what we do, please consider supporting us on patreon.com/gettingtabled. It's $2 a month. It gives you early access to almost everything that we do. You will notice...
You can listen live while we record.
Yes. Through our Discord. You can join our Discord. There is always a link that I share on the screen for Discord. If you join it, you're more than welcome to. There is a specific Patreon Discord channel, and there is a specific channel for Entropy City that is only available to our Patreon. Entropy City is not a Getting Tabled project. It won't always get the exclusives and the early access to it. That will eventually go away. But because I'm part of the community and I appreciate that they support us, I share my work with them first. And that will continue until I get to a point where it's like, okay, I need to start pushing this out now.
And as Bruce mentioned, we have the website gettingtabled.com. Wait, did you get the website for the Patreon yet or no?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we have gettingtabled.com. You'll find all the posts where we're talking about, where we're publishing it, putting it at facebook.com/gettingtabled. YouTube, where you can find the video edition. youtube.com/gettingtabled.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe. And then email us at gettingtable@gmail.com. This is where if you got a tournament, comments, questions, concerns, something you want us to talk about, send it there. We do check it. It's the most managed mailbox that I think the three of us have, probably.
Probably. That would make sense.
Besides the work one, unfortunately.
You check your work email, really?
I have a phone that I have to check, even over the weekends.
At Getting Tabled for Twitter and Instagram. Twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce if you want to check me out on Twitch. I've been doing it casually for a bit because of work. I will be able to actually start doing it on a more regular basis again sometime soon. So, yay.
Yay.
Hooray.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Indeed, thank you.
Thank you for Patreon for taunting us while we record.
Especially calling out Bruce on all of his rules changes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.